Okay, so today we're talking short-term study abroad, which when you think short-term, these are basically programs that will take place either during your winter term or during your summer term. If you've ever spent a long 6 weeks stuck at home in January, you might be considering to get out of town, go to New Zealand or Costa Rica during your next winter term. I highly recommend it. And it's also, studying abroad is also a great way to fill up some of your summer, get some good experience, earn course credit, or you could even do an internship as well. So there's lots of options for short-term study abroad, both during the winter and the summer. And I'll go over just a brief overview of what those options are, but then I'm going to open up this with a student panel. So I have 2 students here with us today who are here to share their experiences, and they're here to answer any questions that you might have about study abroad. Anything from choosing a program to what the experience is actually like once you are abroad. We also have programs that are within the United States as well. So if you're interested in studying away, we call it, we have options for that as well. If you're looking for funding, any questions that you have, feel free to enter them in the chat throughout this panel. You're welcome to unmute as well if you want to ask a question. This is really informal, so just, keep them coming. But as far as like a quick overview of what short-term study abroad looks like at Miami, I'm going to share my screen and bring up our website so you know where to find these different program options. So if we're on our website, you're looking for short-term study abroad programs, we want to find a program. So we have it in 2 separate categories for faculty-led study abroad. Faculty-led study abroad is kind of what it sounds like. It's where a Miami faculty-led or faculty member will take a group of students either to another location within the US or abroad. Most of these will take place during the winter and summer, and they're really great because you are traveling with a Miami group. So you have that Miami community with you while you're traveling. You're earning Miami credit. So if you need certain courses towards your major or towards Miami plan, there's certainly an opportunity to take those courses through a faculty-led program. And it's great because you know that you're going to get that credit that you need. And so on our website, if you look at the summer page, currently for summer 2021, we have those programs listed here. And then for faculty-led winter, the programs listed here are for next winter, 21-22. And just so you know what you're looking at here, we click on winter. They're organized by category, academic topic of the course. And so on these pages, it's kind of like window shopping. You'll get an overview of what the program is like, what you'll be studying, where you'll be going. Currently, applications are not yet open for winter 2021-22, but we are hoping to open these within the coming weeks. So keep checking back this semester to see when these applications will be opening. Now, these programs are great. They're Miami programs, they're Miami faculty, but if you're looking through these courses, through these programs, and you're just not seeing exactly what it is you're looking for, maybe your heart is set on traveling to a certain location that we just don't have a program in, or you really need to take a certain course and it's just not being offered through these faculty-led programs. There is an option to do an approved program. So our office calls these approved programs, but basically they are transfer credit programs. So these are non-Miami programs. They're put on by study abroad program providers. And basically what that means is there's just that extra little process of getting the courses approved to transfer back to fulfill whichever graduation requirements you're hoping to fulfill with those courses. But these approved programs are really great because there's just so many. So like I said, if there's, there's so much variety. If you need a certain course, you're looking for a certain location, there's a high probability that there will be an approved program there. And if you want to see what the approved program options are, you would go to back to the Find a Program page, and you would use this program search tool. So if we click on program search, using this tool, you can put in different criteria that you're looking for. So You can do it by location. So let's say we really want to go to Asia and we want to study abroad during the summer. You scroll down and click search. Here's a listing of summer programs in Asia. And so you see here, CET, CIEE, Education Abroad Network. These are the study abroad program providers that are putting on these programs. So all of that to say, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of benefits, the different kinds of programs. It's really all about finding the program that meets your needs. My advice for you is to start thinking about this early, thinking about what your goals are, what you hope to achieve from study abroad. Come in and see us, schedule an appointment with an Education Abroad advisor, and just explore this website to see what options are out there. And to give you an idea of the kind of the student experience of these different options, I'm going to hand it over to our student panelists to introduce themselves and give an overview of their study abroad experience. So Lucy, do you want to start off?
Yeah, great. Thank you. So my name is Lucy Graney. I'm a junior here at Miami. I'm studying journalism and entrepreneurship, and I have a digital innovation minor. So I have studied abroad in a whole semester, well, part of a semester. I got sent home because of COVID. And then I've also done a study away for J term. So I've done both, and I'm obviously interested in doing more. I love traveling. It's definitely something I was looking forward to when coming to Miami. So when I did my study abroad, I actually went to Luxembourg, which was awesome. I did an internship, which is really, really cool. It's a great experience to get to work abroad. And then for my J term, I did a study away in New York City. I did the New York City media trip. So yeah, like Annalise said, it's really nice to get credit for classes you would have to take just on campus. It was a much better way to get more of an experiential look into a career in journalism. It was awesome. I got to go to a bunch of different media organizations. And yeah, that was one of the best experiences of my journalism degree, I think, was getting to go and experience something in person for that short period of time over J term. So that's me.
That's really cool. Thank you, Lucy. It's great that you have both of those perspectives of short-term, long-term, study abroad, study away. So any questions you all have about the differences between those programs, send them to Lucy. But for now, Hamza, do you want to introduce yourself and share your experience?
Yeah, of course. I'm Pam Zabesher. I am a finance major, a senior. I'm from Cleveland, and it was the winter of 2019. I went to Rome, and it wasn't through a Miami-led study abroad, but it was still a really good time. The reason why I chose not to go with the Miami-led program was because I always love to meet new people. So I figured this would be a great chance to go with less Miami students, get to know some more people. And because of that, I am still in contact with some of my friends who I went to there, and they were from St. Paul, Minnesota. And I still talk to them every single day almost. And honestly, we'll probably not be friends for a very long time. But yeah, so I did my study abroad just for the winter. It was just to fulfill one of my outside of my business school credits. And honestly, to say, rather than taking it in person on campus during the winter or online, it was a lot of fun to go to a completely different country, learn something, and then also just experience the whole different culture.
Thank you. And thanks for bringing in that non-Miami program perspective. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to send them in the chat. But I'm going to start off with a question. Why did you choose to do a program during the short term? So I know, Lucy, you did both a semester and a short-term program, but what do you think are the benefits of doing that short-term program?
Yeah, so speaking for myself, I did, the study away, and it was short term. I think the reasoning for me was after my freshman year, I did not do anything over J term. I had a job at home, but it was awful. That whole 6 weeks just being at home, and my friends all went back to school right when, January came, and I was home for 3 weeks with my family. And I love my family, but it was just too much. I was not used to it. I wanted to just be back at school. And that's kind of what sparked my interest in it. And then also with my major, it's a kind of a very marketable program. It's a faculty led program through the journalism major. And I loved the professor that taught it. And so when I heard about it, I thought it was the perfect opportunity. People speak really highly of it. And honestly, I did it also for a purpose of networking. I think that short term study abroad, it kind of makes you a little more like it's going to go by really fast. So you keep your mind open and you are very forward in everything that you do in terms of networking, which was a big purpose for me of going on this trip. But yeah, really awesome.
So the reason why I did the short term was because just like Lucy said, I didn't want to be home for that long as much as I love my family, but being home for that long was a little too much for me. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity to get out of the country for a little bit, see some new things. And also a big reason was because as much as the semester long seemed fun, I just didn't feel like I wanted to miss out on anything that was happening at Miami because, college is a short time. So I figured I would do a winter or a summer so I wouldn't miss out on the actual semester that was happening while my friends were back here.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. Thank you both. So we have some questions. Someone asked, is the program 4 or 6 weeks? My quick answer to this program is that the length varies. It also varies if it's during the winter, you only have so long for your winter program. The program length varies more in the summer. Some may be more like 2 weeks, some may be 6 weeks. So program lengths vary, but how long were your programs?
So mine was actually, so it was a class of, I think, 3 weeks in total. It started right after Christmas. We had off for like New Year's, but then it went on after, but we actually only were away and out of like our hometowns for the total of like a week. So kind of interesting. A lot of it was like online learning, and that's not even because of COVID. That's just how it is always set up. So you have an online class and you get to meet the people you're in the class with over Zoom and whatnot. And you learn kind of everything you need to know going into the trip. And that's really nice. It prepares you well. And then you spend a full week actually in the city and you're like on your feet, walking places every day, all day until, you go to bed at night. So you're really, really busy, but it is a full week, but it feels like even longer than a week. And by the end, you're exhausted, but you're fulfilled. So.
Yeah, they fit a lot into that short-term program. So you both chose winter programs. Why did you choose winter rather than doing a study abroad program over the summer?
So I chose winter because as a business major, usually internships are during the summer. And while you could get an internship during like your study abroad, but it would be a little bit harder if you were taking a class and an internship at the same time. And I actually had internships lined up during the summer. So, just time wise and fitting everything in, summer was pretty much the best bet for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for me, this program is only offered in the winter. So I definitely just wanted to do it because of that. Also, kind of the same reasoning, the summer, I like to reserve for, whatever job I plan on doing, whether that's an internship or anything else. But yeah, I think the summer, I just personally like to reserve it because I think these more short-term programs, they're kind of hard for me to see personally fitting them into the summer. Summer is a whole 3 months. And so if you spend, a whole month abroad and then you have 2 months left, that's just, I feel like I wouldn't know what to do with my 2 months. So that's why I chose the winter, but I think it could be rewarding either way.
So we have a couple questions for this coming summer. So David and Audrey, you both asked a question about this summer. So I'll just do a quick overview of what this summer is looking like. And of course, it's kind of hard for us to know what it's looking like. There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding COVID and what, the pandemic will be like, what travel restrictions will be like. We're really not sure. So right now, basically, we're looking at every program that we have through our faculty-led programs on a case-by-case basis. So we're looking at each program, looking at the country, what the COVID case numbers are like, what the travel restrictions are like, to determine whether this is a program that we can be moving forward with or whether it's a program that we'll be having to cancel. So we have had to cancel quite a few programs. We do still have some that are remaining. David, you asked about the Costa Rica program. I take this to mean the immersion Spanish for intermediate level students in Costa Rica. It looks like applications are closed currently for this program. Ryan, I don't know if you have anything that you wanted to add about this program, but this is a program that's offered most years, so it could be potentially offered next summer if it does get canceled for this summer.
Yes, the program application closed March 1st, and we are hopeful that this is a program that may actually be able to run because we were able to push back the program dates into July.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're learning how to be flexible with these programs, as we all are during these times. So, same for next winter. We don't know what next winter is going to look like. I'm feeling I'm feeling optimistic, allowing myself to have some hope for next winter. But, should there need to be any changes or adjustments, we're trying to be flexible so that we can do all we can to make these programs run.
And I'll just add one more thing about Costa Rica. David, if you are interested in applying for this particular program, you can send us an email and we can check with the program director to see if she has any flexibility with the application deadline. Otherwise, there may be approved Costa Rica programs, non-Miami programs that are still open for applications.
Yes. Thank you, Ryan. So, with all of the faculty-led programs, all these approved programs, there's so many options out there. So Lucy and Hamza, how did you choose your program? Like, how did you narrow down your search and actually choose a program?
I guess I can start. So I think what will be more helpful in this answer is not for my short-term one, but I'll speak based off my long-term one I did. So I went abroad for a semester in Luxembourg, and I wanted to go abroad for a semester. When I started at Miami, I just didn't know when or how I was going to make it work with my schedule because I was an education major at the time. So that's kind of a more rigid structure. I think that's definitely something to think about. If you're an education major, you only have, a certain amount of time to study abroad. So I kind of gave up on it for a while. And I had a preconceived notion of where I thought I wanted to study abroad. And I didn't really have a lot of research behind it. But I think really doing the research is really important. What I ended up doing was I studied abroad in Luxembourg through the Digital Innovation Program. So it's a Miami-led program, and you get an entire minor doing an internship while you're abroad, which was really cool. But it was kind of a very spontaneous, let it happen kind of moment. I heard about it in one of my classes, and the next day I applied and I got in and I went. And so it was really kind of spur of the moment, but the one that I chose gave me the most out of my kind of educational and professional outlook. So it gave me an entire minor, and it covered a few points on my DAR that I needed covered before I graduated. And then it also was really great for me professionally. It gave me an internship experience. It gave me a lot of networking experience. And it wasn't like a traditional study abroad. I didn't really want to go somewhere and take some classes and then spend the weekends traveling. I wanted to immerse myself in what is it like to work abroad? What is it like to really experience life abroad and live abroad? So that was kind of how I chose, if that helps.
So the way I narrowed down my search for trying to pick a program was, first off, I told myself I wasn't going to do a Miami-led program. It was definitely going to be a non-Miami, but Miami approved. So that narrowed down my search a lot. And then after that, all I did was look at my DAR, see what I needed what classes that I needed to get done, and just based on that, try to fit in time frame wise what classes was being provided that I needed for my DAR that was kind of in the winter term. I know that doesn't really help much, but that's kind of like my thought process when I was picking my program.
Thank you. I think that does help. I mean, and it's also like what you were saying, Lucy, just, figuring out what it is you hope to get from the experience. Are you looking to visit a certain location, get certain course credit? Lucy, you talked about you really wanted to immerse yourself in the local culture. So looking at the program structure, is it a program that has, is either structured or has different opportunities to get immersed in the culture? Maybe you're living with a host family, or do you hope to have a different experience that has more of the support, for example, with our faculty-led programs where you are traveling with that Miami community and having that those Miami students with you kind of gives you a level of comfort when you're traveling to someplace new. Or like you were saying, Hamza, you wanted to break out from that community, you wanted to meet new people. And so, looking at the program structure and how it can fulfill those different goals. So yeah, it's absolutely starting off thinking about what your goals are and just how you envision yourself when you think about studying abroad, and then just looking through the programs, talking to our office, talking to other students who have studied abroad to help you see what options are out there. And as you start exploring your options, you'll start to realize more what kind of program offers, different things that help you meet those goals.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to add too, you noted too about the housing, do you want to live with the host family, things like that. That's really important to think about too, because I have a friend who study abroad. I have a lot of friends who study abroad that, have done programs where they've lived on a college campus in a dorm, or they've lived, with a family that has 5 kids who are all young and in school. And so it's very different. I know I lived with a host family, but I kind of lived separate from them. I didn't see them a lot. And that's not necessarily what I wanted. I kind of wanted to, be with a family who had kids, and I could see what it was like, to go to school from a young age abroad. So thinking about that is really important. I think that's a good part of research that you should do. Do you want to, learn a language? So should you live with a family who all speak that language? Or do you want to live on a campus and, meet other students and things like that? So definitely something to think about.
So Avery in the chat saying that she was looking for summer internships. Lucy, do you want to share a bit more about what it was like doing an internship abroad and what kind of cultural adjustments you had to make? How was it different from working here in the US?
Yeah, it was really, really interesting, even just from the point of applying. So resumes or CVs, or what they call them abroad, are different, from the US. I was told, I was enforced very heavily that you had to have a picture of yourself on your resume, like a headshot, which was interesting because that's not allowed in the US. It's actually illegal to put a picture of yourself on your resume. So keep that in mind if you're ever applying somewhere. But definitely really weird from the get-go. They lay out their resumes a little bit differently. And just to, submit that and hear what feedback I got from different companies was interesting. It was a little bit faculty-led, so it was easier to navigate what companies I should be applying to, which ones I should be researching. But ultimately, I ended up working for a magazine, which was awesome. It was in Luxembourg City. And it was really, really cool just because Luxembourg is a very small, tight-knit community of businesses, and the startup community is sort of small. Everyone kind of knows each other. And if you don't know, Luxembourg is one of the richest countries, in terms of GDP per capita in the world. So they're definitely very rich, for a lack of a better term. So it was really, really cool to just kind of experience that whole culture. The price of living is a little bit higher. So it was definitely something to get adjusted to. But in terms of the search, I think just really meeting with an advisor, getting a resume set and, knowing what that culture looks for in a resume because it's different from the US. And and knowing what your strengths are and how can you help those other companies. And yeah, I think, but all in all, having an experience on your resume that shows you worked abroad is really valuable when finding a job in the US. And I hear it kind of vice versa, where if you're looking for a job abroad, they love when you have experience in the US because, you know, the US is really, really work heavy and work focused. So, yeah.
Let's talk more about the value of doing these programs of study abroad. So to both of you, what would you say is the value of studying abroad? What have you gained from it, and how do you see it like impacting you now and in the future?
So one of the values like I gained was definitely the difference of cultural experience. Like coming to Rome and then coming back home, you definitely see the vast differences. But another, like the main thing was being able to further your education in a completely different country with completely different people if you go with the non-Miami programs. But honestly, it was more for the experience because I knew that later on, few years down the road, I knew that I would probably regret not studying abroad when I had the chance, because every time somebody comes from study abroad, they talk about how much they love it and how much they wish they could go again. So I was like, you know what, why not do it, even if it's for a little bit of time? And it definitely, you make a lot of friends, like a lot of friends.
Yeah, I think the biggest value added for me was definitely from a networking perspective. I really like enjoyed my time there. I set up a lot of like different what I call curiosity interviews. I got to just go network with a bunch of people that whether they knew my boss or different coworkers that I had, which was awesome. But I think also I love French. I have been like taking French classes since my freshman year of high school, and I'm actually biliterate in the US. So I have like a seal for it. But I was not prepared. I was to go abroad and like rely on my French, and I thought I was. And I went abroad, and throughout like being there, you really, if you know a language or partly know a language, you really, really strengthen that skill if you just try. And there, people abroad are so willing to help you. People who speak that language, they love to see that effort you put in when you're trying to like learn their language. So that was really awesome. By the time I left, I was very used to speaking French. I really spoke it a lot of my day. So that was really awesome. And that's something I definitely miss. And I want to go back and get back to that level that I was at. But definitely the language part of it is really awesome. So if you go somewhere where you speak the language, if you're thinking about it, I recommend it.
Thank you. Your answers there just got me so excited about hopefully going abroad again sometime soon, because there's so much that you can gain from the experience. So I have a final question. Everyone here in attendance, if you have any other final questions, please send them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just ask this final question. What advice do you have for students who are considering to study abroad or away?
I can go first. So I think my advice overall would be to keep an open mind, and don't hesitate to, you know, ask questions, meet with advisors, but also just don't be afraid to study abroad. I think I know a lot of people who are really scared. They think it's really scary to travel, you know, internationally without their family, and they just haven't done that before, or you know, it's crazy because you don't know a lot of people. I mean, I didn't know a single person studying abroad with me when I signed up to go. I just did it. And so I guarantee you, you will meet people who are going through the same thing as you are. And that's the beauty of it. And that's why, you know, you get so close with these people and you bond with them. So definitely just don't be scared of it. I think it's something that's really should be encouraged, and you know, you should see it as something that, you know, you're pushing through your fear of, you know, experiencing a new culture, and you will, you know, thank yourself for it if you make that jump. So
I definitely agree with Lucy a lot. One of the biggest advice that I have is when you're applying through the process, constantly meet with your advisor. They will help you a lot, just like how when you're applying for classes, they help you a lot. It does get very confusing. It's a long process, and meeting with my advisor once every week, once every 2 weeks made my life a whole lot easier. And going into the program as I was leaving, I felt completely prepared for what I needed to take, what I needed to do, what I needed to do there when I was there. And also, again, with Lucy, definitely do not be afraid to do it. You will regret it if you decide to opt out at the last minute and then you see people having the time of their life. I loved it. I still think about it all the time. I still get Snapchat memories of all the Snapchats that I've taken, all my friends have taken. It's yeah, just do it. Literally just do it.
Yes, just do it. I love that. I also want to reiterate, come see us in the Education Abroad office. That's why we're here. Send us an email, explore our website. If you go to our website, there's a link to schedule an advising appointment. So come see us. And thank you all for attending. Thank you, Lucy and Hamza, for sharing your experiences and your advice. It was really great. So I hope everybody has a good rest of your day, good rest of your semester, that you're staying safe and healthy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Annalie.
Also, if any of them have questions, you can give them my email. You have my email, right?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. So just give them my email if they have any questions, if they want to talk to me specifically.
Great. Thank you so much. That's very great.
You.
Have a good one.
You too.